Okay, so today we're going to be looking at how to solve proportions. We're going to talk about many methods on how to solve proportions, but again, just get familiar with one or two ways on how to solve proportions. So let's go ahead, let's jump straight into things we need to know when we're solving for proportion. We need to know what a proportion is. A proportion is just two ratios put together, and we determine whether they're equivalent or proportional or not. It can be written as a colon, but more specifically, it's recognized when we have two fraction ratios together to determine whether they're equal or not. Let's go ahead and jump into straight practice, going method by method. And again, just choose the way that feels more comfortable to you. Let's look at our first method, relationship or using the same scale factor method. Let's practice by looking at these two questions. Two practice problems dealing with relationship or looking for a number that each pair has in common. So if I look at my first problem, I do not see a horizontal relationship, but I do see a vertical relationship. So remember, the relationship can either be horizontal, straight across, or it can be up and down. So in this case, I can go 4 times 3 gives me 12. So in this case, I need to figure out what times 3, whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. So in this case, I can go 4 times 3, and that gives me 30. So in this case, x is equal to 30. Let's look at my next one. And again, we're looking for a relationship. This time, I do not have a relationship this way, but I do have a horizontal relationship. I know that 60 times 2 will give me 120. And I would do the same thing. Whatever I do to the bottom, I also do to the top. So in this case, I can go 36 times 2. 36 times 2, that gives me 72. So in this case, x is equal to 72. Let's go ahead and let's look at another method. And again, this is the relationship or the same scale factor method. Let's look at another one. So this is the unit rate or just divide method. That means you're basically finding the unit rate or the amount for one, or whatever the scale factor between a number is. And you could just divide the two numbers that are, of course, aligned together. So in this case, I can find the scale factor of 8 and 12. So I have to figure out what times 8 will give me 12. In this case, most of the time it will be a decimal. So just kind of prepare yourself. So in this case, I can go 12 divided by 8. That goes in there one time. That's 8. 4. Put my decimal in my 0. 5. So we know that 8 times 1.5 would give me 12. So in this case, again, same thing. Whatever I do to the top, I also have to do to the bottom. So in this case, I can do the exact same thing at the bottom. I can go 5 times 1.5. So in this case, that gives me 5. That's 2. That's 5. That's 7. And I'm going to move my decimal one time. So in this case, 12 over 7.5, or x is equal to 7.5. Let's go ahead. Let's look at my next one. Again, and we can find this relationship or divide on either way. We could do this vertically or horizontally. So let's go ahead. Let's look at my next one. I can go 60 divided by 8. 60 goes into, or 8 goes into 60 7 times. That's 56. 4, put my decimal 0, 5 times. So I know that 8 times 7.5 would give me 60. Again, whatever I do to the top, I also do to the bottom. So in this case, I can go 7.5 times 6. That gives me 30. That's 42. 45 and move my decimal one time. So in this case, I should get 45x is equal to 45. Let's go ahead and let's look at another method. This is my reduce or scale down method. We're creating equivalent ratios and just making it smaller for us to do our math with. So it's making it a little bit easier for us to multiply or divide. So in this case, let's go ahead and see if it's a number that we can reduce. And again, the best way to do is look at what numbers are already present. I know that 2 can go into both 8 and 6. If I divide by 2, that's going to give me 4 over 3. In this case, I can figure out how many times or what times 4 will give me 60. In this case, I know that 4 times 15 would give me 60. Whatever I do to the top, I also do to the bottom. So 3 times 15 gives me 45. So x is equal to 45. Let's try another one. And again, we're looking for a number that they have in common. What's the number that 15 and 12 have in common? 3. So we can go 15 divided by 3, we hit 5. 12 divided by 3, we get 4. And so now I have a new ratio. And I can easily see that 8 times 4 gives me 32. And whatever I do to the bottom, I also do to the top. So in this case, 5 times 8 gives me 40. So x will equal up to 40. Let's just go over one more method. Now, this is what I call, if all else fails, you can always go to this method and it'll give you the answer. So again, all we're doing is setting it up in an equation. We're multiplying and dividing. Now, how you set it up is up to you. But basically, you're finding the number that has a partner. So in this case, we cannot use x because remember, x is an unknown number. We do not know that amount. But I can do 12 times 6. Once I do 12 times 6, I'm also going to go 9 times x, which is always going to give you the x, so 9x, okay? And then I can simply, whatever my answer is, just divide by 9. Because we're always going to multiply the two numbers that's together and divide by whatever number's left out. So we can divide by 9. Let's solve it now.